response to a request from one of my Tagalog subscriber here in this channel, because he requested it that I dissect the 5 points. That's the Watchtower, or the leadership of the Watchtower, of the Jehovah's Witnesses, that they have posted in their website, exjw.org, on their Watchtower online library, that I have mentioned in my last video regarding election voting, wherein they provided this article of Watchtower 1999, November 1, on page 28 to 29, as an explanation to the public why Jehovah's Witnesses do not vote in an election. And to accommodate that request, this video is intended to analyze, to dissect, and debunk these 5 points that the Watchtower Society, or the leadership of Jehovah's Witnesses, and their Watchtower 99 issue. Without further ado, the first part of, by the way, I'm reading it from their own website, the exjw.org. The first reason that they have given here is that Jesus Christ said to his followers, "They are no part of the world, just as I am no part of the world," quoting John 17, verse 14. Jehovah's Witnesses take this principle seriously, being no part of the world. They are neutral in the political affairs of the world. So for the Jehovah's Witnesses, participating in a political election is becoming or being involved in the ways or system of Satan's work. That's why they make the effort to stay away as far as possible from this kind of activity. So they do not participate, they do not vote in an election. Because they do not want, as they say it, they do not want to be part of the world. But to give an insight on this phrase, being no part of the world, yes, it is they have borrowed that phrase from John 17:14. But we have to learn the background of that phrase for us to have a right conclusion on what it is really the meaning of being no part in the world. For example, if we're going to read James chapter 1 verse 27 from their own Bible, from the Bible of the Jehovah's Witnesses, it says here, "The form of worship or religion that is clean and undefiled from the standpoint of our God and Father is this: to look after the orphans and widows in their tribulation, and to keep oneself without spot from the world." So this verse is saying that a true followers of Christ, if he professes to have the true religion, he should show hospitality and benevolence for those in needy situations like widows and orphans in their tribulation. And the second part is telling us that a Christian should keep himself from being defiled of the or having a spot from the word. And if we're going to read the context of this verse on chapter 4, again on James chapter 4, same Bible book, verse 4, it says here, adulteresses, do you not know that friendship with the world is enmity with God? Whoever therefore wants to be a friend of the world is making himself an enemy of God. So, the thought of being part of the world, or being friend of the world, or having a spot from the world, is all consistent in these verses. And if we're going to scroll up, if we read the previous verse, which is verse 3 of chapter 4 of James, we will have an insight on what James is on mind in saying that those who want to be a friend of God should not be a friend of this world. And what is the characteristic of being part of the world, or being or having a spot from the world? If we will going to read not only verse 3, but if we will start it from verse 1 of chapter 4, it is very clear here that it is the sinful nature of individuals in this world that should not be seen in an individual who professes to practice true religion. So, on those verses, we cannot see here the idea of voting or participating in a political exercise of a democratic society is absent. So, it is missing in those verses. What is meant by Bible writers when never they mention being no part of the world, or not becoming friend of the world, or not having the spot of the world, they are always referring to the sinful nature which, which is present on every individual living on this earth. That this individual should not, or this kind of sinful nature should not be practiced, or should be avoided by any Christian if he wants to be no part of this world. So, it has nothing to do with participating or voting in a political election of your country. That is very clear in the pages of the Bible. So, we have debunked the first point that the Watchtower has provided here in this Watchtower article. The second
머무르? 너 이게 뭐야?
point that they mention here is, second, Apostle Paul referred to himself as an ambassador representing Christ to the people of his day. Ephesians 6:20, 2 Ephesians 5:20. Jehovah's Witnesses believe that Christ Jesus is now the enthroned King of God's heavenly kingdom, and they, like ambassadors, must announce this to the nations. Ambassadors are expected to be neutral and not to interfere in the internal affairs of the countries to which they are sent. As representatives of God, heavenly kingdom, Jehovah's Witnesses feel a similar obligation not to interfere in the politics of the countries where they reside. So, For the Jehovah's Witnesses, participating or voting in a political election is interfering in the affairs of the countries where they reside. So, when it comes to interference, interference is not being complained by those who initiate this action of interference, because they are the one trespassing or interfering in the rights or properties of others, privacy or exclusive affairs of others. But who complains when we discuss interference? Naturally, it should be the one who is being interfered or the rights being encroached by those who interfered or trespass on the rights or on their own exclusive circle by outsiders. So, in the case of a political election, does the countries, the democratic countries wherein the Jehovah's Witnesses live, complains if the Jehovah's Witnesses participate, if they will participate in the election that they themselves, the government themselves, has initiated? Are we going to imagine that they will complain if a Jehovah's Witnesses walked into a polling precinct and participated in the election? That's a very crazy idea. But they uses that word interference, they misuse that word interference here in their second point to justify their promotion of boycott for all the elections around the globe whenever their members reside. So, it is twisting. Jehovah's Witnesses is not just twisting the Bible, but they are twisting even the dictionary. They twisted the word interference. So, and some other angle of this not interfering or not participating in any political activity. I want to mention here in this video that in the internet, so many years ago, it has been posted by many individuals, corporations, or groups and the internet, the participation of the Watchtower Society for more or less 10 years in the United Nations. They became, according to those materials that has proliferated in the internet, they once became a member of the United Nations. And what is the United Nations? The United Nations is being maligned. If you do not know that, is being maligned in the many publications of the Watchtower Society or the leadership of the Jewish Witness. All you have to do is to click on their website, the word United Nations, and you will have the opportunity to read those articles in their library on how the Watchtowers is viewing this international organization, which is the United Nations. But even they are maligning the United Nations and saying negative things about this, it has been a fact being posted in the internet that they once became a member of that international organization for more or less 1 year, 10 years. So, personally, I believe that those articles or videos in the internet is a fact. Why? Why did I say that? Because the Watchtower Society or the leadership of Jehovah's Witnesses do not take any action to delete or to pull down those posts from the internet, which has a very damaging effect on their organization, the Watchtower organization, or on their religion, because many Jehovah's Witnesses or ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, former Jehovah's Witnesses who has came out from their organization, many of them has saying that the awakening factor on why they leave is when the time they have discovered that the Watchtower has become a member, because it is very hypocritical on their part. If on one hand, inside their religion, they are criticizing the United Nations, but on the other hand, at the same time, they are a member of that worldly organization. And why we are mentioning here the United Nations? Because it is a political organization. So, is it true that they are not participating, much more becoming a member of political organizations, as they want us to believe in this Watchtower article, and the second point that they are saying here, that they do not interfere in the political affairs of this world? And how about their being a member of the another political organization there in Europe? If I remember it right, the acronym is OSCE, OSCE. Still another political organization we're in, and the articles or videos in the internet, they are also, the Watchtower is also a member of that, and they have representatives there to represent the Watchtower. And I also believe that those reports is true. It is not a slander and uh, way of maligning them without basis. Because the Watchtower, until now, for so many years, that those reports has been posted in the internet, they are not doing anything about it, taking any action to came after those who posted those kind of articles. Just like here in my channel, I was inviting the Watchtower Society if they can provide answers for my videos. They are very welcome. In fact, I'm encouraging them to make their own answers, point by point, regarding the topics that I was discussing here in my channel, and I will post it in this channel. The fair thing is to post here in my channel for my viewers to appraise their answers. But until now, it's been almost 2 years since I started making videos in these channels, but they are not answering. So, for me, it is not true that they do not interfere in the political affairs of this word, and they are also twisting the word interfere in the dictionary, which is very ridiculous way of defending their position of not participating in an election. So without further ado, we are now already in the third factor. They say here, a third factor to consider is that those who have a part in voting a person into office may become responsible for what he does. And they provided 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 22, the New English Version. Christians have to consider carefully whether they want to shoulder that responsibility. So here, the Watchtower leadership or the leadership of the Jehovah's Witnesses is wants to invoke the guilt and their members that if a particular candidate, if they will participate in the voting and if they have voted a particular candidate and later on in the office that government official has become corrupt or conducted his duty in a dishonest way, they are now they wants to their member to feel guilty regarding that. So they are giving a warning here. So what can we see from this paragraph or this point, third point that they have provided? We can clearly see here that the mindset of the Watchtower, the leadership of the Jehovah's Witnesses, is lean heavily on negativity. Yes, negativity. They have a negative mindset regarding the candidates, all the candidates that is running for their respective offices in the government. They have this negative mindset regarding those persons. So it seems that for them, all of them are corrupt from the very beginning. So if the Jehovah's Witnesses will vote any of them, they will end up becoming corrupt. And so the Jehovah's Witnesses will be blamed for whatever wrong decisions or dishonest and corrupt decisions that they will make later on. So that is the case. They are a negative mindset regarding politicians. But is it true that all politicians are corrupt? You'll be the judge or you answer for yourselves that that particular question. But for me, if we have that kind of mindset, we might as well not participate in an election just like the Jehovah's Witnesses is doing, because what's the use of participating in an election to select our leaders if even before we vote them, we have this kind of mindset that they will become corrupt later on. It's just like marrying your girlfriend and you're having this kind of mindset that they will become unfaithful to you later on in your marriage life. So why not marry? So why marry her in the first place? That's the kind of ridiculous mindset that the Jehovah's Witnesses is having towards politician in general. So, they are a very negative people. And what about the Bible verse that they have provided here and point number 3, which is Timothy, 1 Timothy 5:22. If we will click that verse from their website, because I am reading directly from their website, it says uh, Never lay your hands hastily on any man, neither become a sharer in the sins of other. Keep yourself chaste. So, that is where they have borrowed the idea of becoming a sharer to the sin of another man. But we should keep in mind that the words of Apostle Paul here in 1 Timothy chapter 5 verse 22 is directed to Timothy being a church administrator which has power to appoint directly a particular person to the office of an overseer or a deacon. So, from here, we can see that it is purely a religious matter. It is not a political matter. But the Jehovah's Witnesses do not limit it within the religious sphere parameter, but borrowed that principle and apply it in the political exercise. So, voting in an election wherein many candidates is running for an office in the government is very different from directly appointing a particular man on the position of an overseer or a pastor in the church. Why did I say that? First of all, in the background, in an election, the majority of the citizens of a particular nation do not know personally, they do not know up close the character, the real character of the candidate particularly they want to choose. So all the things they know about those candidates is materials in the news, in the media, prints, or in the social media, which is some of them, because of fake news proliferating in the media, is not reliable. And history itself uh, is not always reliable because it depends. It is very subjective because it depends on a particular person on how he relates it, on what is the leaning, his personal leanings and opinions regarding what has happened in the past. And so it will affect his kind way or his way of narrating those events. So, the voters has no up close and personal information regarding those candidates. But in the charts, the appointing minister is usually has this first-hand information regarding a particular person that he wants or intended to appoint in an office inside the church. So, if he knows it beforehand that this particular person is the church is has not yet spiritually matured and has serious spiritual problems, and because of some other reason he proceeded to appoint this person, the appointing minister or officer of the church is very much guilty on the sins of that appointed person if he became dishonest or sloppy and discharging his duties later on as an officer in the church. It is very different in the political arena or in the political world. But the Jehovah's Witnesses uh, makes it in their way of explanation. So on the second point, they twisted the meaning of the word interpret, and here they interchange the or mix the meaning or the application of the principle here and the charts settings and in the political field. So it is very wrong for them to do that. And to illustrate this, if we will apply this in a different personal relationship that we live day by day. For example, if you marry your fiancé and she became dishonest to you later on, do you do you have any participation on that sin? Or should you be blamed? Should you blame yourself because she became an adulteress by saying to yourself that she will not become adulteress if I did not marry her in the first place? Because if we are not married, it is not adultery. Or if you begat children and they become bad later on in their lives, you blame yourself even if you have done all your part to raise them up in a proper way to have a good character? No. You should not refrain from marrying or having children or appointing employee or partnering with others in a business setting because you fear to bear their irresponsibilities after you have appointed or chosen them. No, you do not do that. And the many decisions that you are doing in your life every day. But the Jehovah's Witnesses wants to awaken the feeling of guilt in their members for them not to participate in a political election. So for that we have now here and the fourth point that they provided. Jehovah's Witnesses greatly value their Christian unity. When religions get involved in politics, the result is often division among their members. In imitation of Jesus Christ, Jehovah's Witnesses avoid becoming involved in politics and thus maintain their Christian unity. So for them, voting in election is divisive. It will divide them. But if we will look at other religions, does the unity or the identity or the unity of other religions being threatened because of participating in an election? Have you ever heard that kind of thing whenever you may be residing now, if you are residing in a democratic country, that a particular religion became divided, the members separated ways, the church became divided because they have participated in an election? No, it is not a thing in the real world. In fact, here in the Philippines, there is a religion that election became a unifying mark of the religion because they participated in unison in choosing their particular candidates in the election. So it is an opportunity. In fact, it is an opportunity for them to show their unity. If they will vote only one set of candidates for the many positions in the government. But the Jehovah's Witnesses believe us that elections or politics is divisive. And it is not true. So, we're now on the last point that they provided here. And they say here, finally, they're keeping out of politics gives Jehovah's Witnesses permissive speech to approach people of all political persuasions with the important message of the kingdom. So for them, if they participate in an election, they will hinder them from speaking to people regarding their message. Or to say it frankly, their recruitment of people from other religions to join their religion. So again, let us look to the other religions who participate, wherein their members participate in an election. Thus, participating in an election or participating in the politics hinders them and stop them, the religion, from growing or from converting people from other religion to the religion. The numbers of their increase and their membership talks for itself. On the other hand, the membership of the Jehovah's Witnesses, even though they do not participate in politics, keeps on dwindling. It has come almost to a stop, especially during this pandemic, wherein they cannot do their former way of going from house to house and talking to people often and directly in the streets. So, again, their reason, their alibi, why they are not participating in an election is just an illegitimate reason and just an alibi to for them to defend their position of not participating in an election. So, at this point, I just hope that I have dissect and have given my viewers an extensive analysis, an in-depth analysis regarding the reasons why the Jehovah's Witnesses do not participate in the election, and those reasons are illegitimate. They are not legitimate reason. It's just an alibi. So, for this, I want to reiterate this, that their leaders is very much liable for the offense of indoctrinating their members not to participate in the election. They are liable for the penalties under the Omnibus Election Code of the Philippines. Thank you for viewing and may you have a good day.